Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Okay, now I've decided to make this video because we're all still sort of wrapped up in this Nicola Bulley case. We're all still thinking, what's happening? Have we really got to wait till June before we find the results of the inquest, etc. For the inquest? And the more I look into it, so it led me to sort of look into this thing about the coroner. A lot of people have been a little bit sniffy to people who are saying, no, it can't be a criminal. They're saying it can't be a criminal case because it's gone to the coroner. And if it was a criminal case, it wouldn't go to the coroner. This is not true. This is not true. And people who say that, they don't know. They think they know everything about how a coroner works. They don't, because deaths are reported to a coroner in various circumstances. One, if a doctor did not treat the person during their last illness. So in other words, if somebody dies and they can't prove that it was natural causes because they've not been to a doctor recently, there's no reason to think there was anything wrong with them. A doctor did not see or treat the person for the condition from which they died within 28 days of death. The cause of death was sudden, violent or unnatural, such as an accident or suicide. The cause of the death was murder. So even if the cause of death is thought to be murder, it will still be referred to a coroner because the coroner has to establish the facts. If the cause of the death was an industrial disease of the lungs such as asbestosis, I've said that wrong, or the death occurred in any other circumstances that may require investigation. So it's not true to say that because Nicola's death has been is in the hands of the coroner, it's not true to say that means it can't possibly be murder. It is not true. It's unexplained. The police actually said it's an unexplained death. That's why it's with the coroner. So this week we haven't heard anything, have we? There's been no news really. No, they haven't been back to the, as far as we know. I mean, there's probably loads going on, as you know from my video where I had the picture of the iceberg. There's loads going on, loads going on. We don't even know the half of what's going on. And the other thing that I looked up is like, is it a normal to wait that long for an inquest? And there is no rules for an inquest of how soon it has to be done. So there's various factors that can affect how long the coroner takes before it actually arrives at the inquest stage. The inquest stage is when the results are declared, if you like, but results will be known. Nicola's cause of death will be known now. The coroner 100% will know Nicola's cause of death. Now what he's got to prove, or she, I think it's a he though actually, or has got to establish, not prove, they don't have to prove anything. What they have to establish is, like supposing her cause of death was drowning, but then they've got to establish whether that's accidental drowning, whether she was drowned, there's all those other things sort of going on. So they would definitely know her cause of death by now. And then I looked up the case of Emma Pattison, her and her daughter Lettie. There's a video on this on my channel. They were unfortunately killed in a family annihilation by her husband George, and Lettie's father killed them both and then shot himself. Now that happened before Nicola's body was found. They had their inquest. The inquest was the 2nd of March. It was literally within a month of the event. So obviously that was more of a cut and dry, it was more obvious what had happened. So part of the reason why Nicolas is taking so long is because of the complexity. They're not just saying, oh yes, it was an accidental death, write it off as that. Wouldn't be going on for so long if it was as cut and dried as that. It's not. So there's a lot of things going on, you know, these things, a case that I just did a video on just before this, it was months before the bodies of the people were even found. I mean, Nicola's body was found. This is when the work starts. When someone's a missing person, that it was working a different way. They're appealing to the public, aren't they? That's when they were asking for our help, and everybody, it was all over the news, and it was all that speculation. But they wanted us to speculate because they were looking for evidence. They were looking for some clue as to what happened to Nicola. Since Nicola's body's been found, of course, it's been like, shh, no speculation. You can't talk about it. You know, it's just like the complete opposite, because this is where the proper investigative work will have started. So now they've got the body, they've got some physical things to be getting along with. They'll be going back doing it out. 100%. They'll be interviewing people again, just making sure that the story is correct, trying to get new little bits of, I mean, it, you know, you'd love to know what's going on, but we can't know what's going on, because also, as I think I've said before, you can't, if there is any foul play, they cannot compromise the trial. If a trial results from this investigation, and the coroner ends up referring it back to the police and saying, no, this is definitely foul play, and a trial ensues, you know, that's why they're trying to shut it down as well. They don't want all the speculation, because they don't want the trial, like the trial of Lori Vallow at the moment in America, where they found it difficult to even find jurors that they could be certain would be impartial, because it's such a famous case all over America. You know, everyone's already thinking she's guilty, and you know, whether you think she's guilty or not, which she obviously is, but she still has to have a fair trial, because if she doesn't get a fair trial, later on her lawyers can pick up on that, throw it out, and she'll be a free woman again, despite having sort of been involved in the killing of at least 5 people, 2 of which are her children. So we've got to, you know, we've got to respect this. We want to talk about Nicola. I've noticed in my videos, if I put a video out about Nicola, that gets much more views than if I put a video out about other cases, because it's now, isn't it? And it's unresolved. We want to know what is the truth. We all have our opinions. And I think you know what my opinion is. I think there is foul play involved one way or another, or at the very least, like a pattern of abuse that has led to Nicola sadly taking her own life. It's one or the other. I don't believe she fell in the river accidentally. Personally, I think that's ridiculous, because you know, she's walked by the side of that river day in, day out for years. Even Paul and her family said that. So what, unless what's she trying to do, get the ball, or the ball that Emma says is definitely no ball? You know, there's all these things. I mean, Emma said so many times, no ball, definitely no ball. Of course, there are lots of photographs with Willow with the ball. But I just don't, you know, she's walked there day in, day out. Would she have gone, and even if she would have fallen in, and I know she could have banged her head, and, you know, there are things, but it just, for me, I don't believe it, and I think it's a ridiculous thing to think, to be honest. So there were no scuff marks. There was, you know, wouldn't she, if she had fallen in, wouldn't she have shown some signs? And then Peter Falding proved, and other on Eddie's video of the lady that was the pathologist that was talking about what happens when a body goes into a river. It floats to the bottom first of all. It wouldn't rise up again for quite a while until the gases made it rise up. So because there's no, when someone dies, there's no air in the lungs, so it just sinks. It's the air in your lungs that keeps you afloat in the water. This way, it's like practically impossible to drown, as long as you don't panic, and there's not, like, you know, waves coming over you and whatever, as long as you've got air in your lungs, because you're going to be sort of, anyway. Let's not go into think about the last moments of Nicola, because that, whatever way, it's not very nice, is it? So yeah, It's not true. It's not true, all this, that oh, well, it wouldn't be with the coroner, you know, if it's because it's with the coroner, it must be an accident or suicide. No, it's with the coroner because the cause of death had not been established. Well, now it'll have been established, 100% the cause of death, the coroner will know. But what's got to happen now is, how did it come about? So unless it was a cause of death of strangulation, which obviously is not accidental, then that would have to be referred directly back to the police again. Another thing I thought is, it may have been referred back to the police. Well, the police aren't going to come out and say, oh, this is now being treated as a murder inquiry. If they've got someone in mind, they're going to try and catch that person unawares, surely. I don't know, that would be my opinion on it. They're keeping everything very quiet, and it will come out. I don't think it will end up an open verdict when it goes to the inquest. Maybe it won't go as far as the inquest. Now, and the other reason that an inquest can be is, first of all, they've got to book them in, and you know, there's a lot of deaths, like suicides. We can see from what people have been talking about, quite, you know, so there's a list probably of the date, and maybe that was the next available date for an inquest. You know, maybe that was the reason. It could be as simple as that. It's like, oh, what's the next date in the diary? Oh, it was June. I don't think we really know, do we? Or maybe it was just a chance to let all the who had, you know, because this is such an unusual case in its media attention, and I mean it's social media attention, it's got no media attention now at all, but it's still continuing with social media attention, not only here but all over the world. So maybe that was a factor in it, let things die down. You know, a lot of people are talking about going to the inquest, and you know, you can't turn it into a circus, because this is, the family will be there probably, or what will it be, that the family can't go because everybody else wants to go? I mean, it's not right. So I don't think it's right to actually go to the inquest, even outside, never mind inside, because the family are just going to feel everybody's watching them, you know. Anyway, that's my idea on it. Yeah. So basically, that's what I want to say when I was reading that, and I thought, yeah, that's not true. It can go to the coroner because the cause of death was murder, even though the cause of death was murder. It's all about proof, isn't it? The coroner's the person who's there to establish proof, to establish the facts, and if he feels that it's getting to a point where it's a very suspicious, then he will refer it back to the police. But he may have already done that. The police may have been sent back to the river. They may have already been sent back to interview people. I think what I'm trying to say is, we don't know. We don't know. We have to have faith in the police. If anything untoward, in the sense of foul play, happened to Nicola, I really believe, because I do think, I know the police have had this sort of bad press, if you like, but Rebecca, especially the woman that's in charge of the investigation, I really did feel at that press conference do you think she's a woman, she will want to know what has happened to Nicola. She will want, you know, justice for Nicola, just like we do. And the other thing, I felt she has been led astray right in the beginning. The police were led astray by PA and EW, and she'll be annoyed about that. Now imagine if that was you. If that was me, and so I'd sort of gone to a family and they'd made me feel, oh, you know, it's these vulnerabilities that she has, and blah blah blah, and then suddenly maybe you start to realise you've been duped a little bit there. You've been led one way, and now because of that, the scene wasn't cordoned off, etc. You know, there was it's a bit like the McCann case in the Portuguese police, the same. They didn't deal with it right from the beginning, and that put them on the back foot and going on. And I feel like that's what's happened in this case. And Rebecca, I mean, she'd be a tough cookie if she's got to where she is in the police as a woman in Lancashire. And I'm from Lancashire, I know that will have been difficult for her. She's not just someone who's just going to lie down and put up with it. She's tough and she's cleverer than people give her credit for. So my hope, I mean, I don't know, maybe she isn't, but this is, I'm trying to look on the bright side for Nicola and Nicola's family, for justice for Nicola. And I think Rebecca will be trying to bring justice for Nicola too. And if she's got any reason to suspect that there's anything untoward happened there, she will definitely take pleasure in bringing that to light. Okay, so again, if any other news, anything else that occurs to me, I've got a couple of videos in my head that I'd like to do, but I'm a bit reluctant to do them yet. I'm always waiting for some news, you know, some proper news, like not rumours, I'm looking for some proper news. I want to, when I say anything about this case, I want it to be things that are real and not imagined. And of course, there's so many different theories, and I'm glad that, don't get me wrong, it's good that people are doing that, because I think, you know, you don't know when any of those little rumours, theories, musings could lead to something. And as you know, I think it will be a neighbour, a friend, an off-the-cuff comment that in the end makes a break in this case and leads us to a proper conclusion. Okay, thank you. Remember to always live and love very, very wisely. So wisely, probably better not even bothering doing it. No, I'm only joking. And until I see you again, may your God go with you.